let us agree that we have the pearl of great price, for we have. And that pearl is the awareness that God constitutes individual consciousness, my consciousness and your consciousness, the world consciousness. Not that everyone is aware of God as their consciousness, but that is what they have to eventually wake up to. If they're going to search for God, the end of the search comes when they know that God constitutes their consciousness, that God is not to be found in holy mountains or holy temples or in Jerusalem or Rome or Boston, that God is to be found only as individual consciousness, yours and mine. In proportion as we become aware of God as our consciousness, we are illumined. That is our great pearl. But our great pearl has another side too, and that is that this illumination, which reveals God as our individual consciousness, also reveals that the nature of our consciousness is omniscience, omnipotence, omnipresence. Therefore, I do not have to pray to my consciousness in the sense of telling it anything, trying to influence it, trying to buy it or its favors. I have to relax in it, because God's thoughts are not my thoughts. There is no way that my thoughts could influence God or tell God. Therefore, to accept my consciousness as omniscience means that I must sit in the silence and the stillness and let my consciousness speak to me through the still small voice, or the thundering voice that makes the earth melt. But the point is that I am illumined in proportion as I know that I do not have to seek outside myself, nor do I have to tell God, importune God, beg, plead, praise God, bribe God, influence God, tithe God, because God is omniscience. Therefore, my contact with God is the attitude of listening. Furthermore, my pearl consists of the fact that God is omnipotence. Therefore, I need no God powers. I'm not seeking a God because there is no evil for God to overcome. What I am doing is becoming a state of receptivity so that the still small voice can utter itself through me, and this is the establishment of peace on earth, individually and collectively, not by praying to God to do away with wars and tyrants, but by letting our divine consciousness manifest itself through the still small voice, through silence. We do not tell God where to go, what country to go to, what tyrant or politician to handle. We do not tell God of the evils of this world and then ask Him to do something about it. We abide in stillness and let the imprisoned splendor escape through the still small voice. Since God is omnipotence, it has no powers to overcome or destroy. It merely has to be allowed an inlet and an outlet to this universe, and then the evils of this world are dissolved because they do not exist as powers or realities, but as maya or illusion or illusory concepts produced by the belief in two powers. Again, our pearl consists of the awareness that God is omnipresence as my very consciousness, so that the place whereon I stand is always holy ground. If I go up to heaven, it is holy ground. If I make my bed in hell, it is holy ground. If I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, it is holy ground, because I and my consciousness are one. My consciousness and God consciousness are one. God constitutes my very consciousness, even in the midst of sin, disease, death, lack, or limitation, and my awareness of this dissolves the pictures of sense, the erroneous appearances to which we have reacted. Now we behold the appearances and no longer react to them, because of our understanding of their illusory nature, of the non-power. Therefore, we come eventually to the greatest revelation that has been given to this world by the infinite way, and that is the nature of spiritual power. Here we reach the top, the nature of spiritual power. Spiritual power cannot be used. Spiritual power cannot be used by man, it cannot be influenced by man, it cannot be controlled by man, and man cannot make it do something. Spiritual power is that which operates through the still small voice to govern man. As we individually open our consciousness to the Christ government, spiritual power, it governs us individually, but it doesn't limit itself to governing us individually. Every time it comes to us, it is also released in human consciousness, so that even in a generation it can change so many facets of the consciousness of mankind. It is that which is permeating the earth today. It doesn't mean that 4 billion people will have to individually awaken to the Christ. It means that the 10 righteous men are admitting the Christ into human consciousness, and eventually there will be no human consciousness left. Because as the new generations are born, they will be born into a higher consciousness which is now established on earth.